Hello, everyone. Suzanne Rocha here, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Marker. Today, I want to talk about mistakes home buyers make. Now, a lot of this you can Google it, a lot of it is online, but let's review it because I'm still seeing mistakes being made every day by potential home buyers. So, the first thing is not getting pre approved first. So, what we're seeing buyers go out there with an agent and they're just looking at properties. They're looking at neighborhoods. They're like, oh, this is beautiful, but they don't know if they can afford it. So they're shopping for homes potentially that is outside of their budget. So that it can be really heartbreaking. You can fall in love with a property, but if you can't afford it, very disappointing. So that's a big mistake. You don't want to do that. So you really want to find a really good mortgage lender, a loan officer to work with to get all your paperwork and get all your ducks in the row before you start getting in the car, going and looking at properties, because it will really bite you at the end. You really, really need to get your paperwork done, your pre-approval. You know how much you can spend, what's your budget, all of that. So that is a mistake by not getting pre-approved first before you go shopping. The other thing is not understanding the total cost of what it means to be a homeowner. Now, oftentimes the mortgage lender is going to work out and factor in, closing costs, taxes, and all that. But really, the mistake that so many home buyers really make is just thinking about the down payment and the mortgage. There's so many other fees, costs involved in a purchase, but also in home ownership. So you really want to think of all those things. There's maintenance. You have to have extra money aside for, as they call it, a rainy day. Furnace goes out, the roof, something happens with the roof. And so you really want to have a really solid budget that you are comfortable in, that you're not stressed out and worried that if something happens, you can't afford it. And that's no place to be. The other thing is skipping inspections. Now, I know a lot of buyers out there, if they're in a competitive atmosphere, sometimes you have to go non contingent. But what happens is that you don't want to skip understanding the full scope of what is involved with this property. So mistakes can be made. And what happens is that you don't rely on inspectors, expert, professional reports, because you want to uncover if there's serious issues with a property. Is it serious? Are you sitting on top of a money pit? You don't want that. But the other thing is getting emotionally involved. And that's what happens maybe at the beginning. You start looking at a property. Oh my God, you fall in love with the kitchen. This is the dream house. This is the one house that I can go to sleep at night and wake up every day and just fall in love all over again. So what happens is that your judgment gets clouded. So you fall in love with the house, but you're ignoring all the other external circumstances, such as your budget, your affordability. Is this going to be a really good investment for you? So try not to get emotionally attached to the property, because I really believe if a property is meant to be, it will be yours. Okay? It's about a meant to be situation. So not working with a great lender can really, really be a deterrent and make your experience not good in the home buying process. Now, a good lender is not only going to get you fully prepared with your mortgage and payment wise or your budget, but also is going to be a good part of the offer team when you're making an offer on the property about timeliness, times of the essence. Sometimes buyers get online and they shop for just rates only. There is a lot more to than a purchase than just rates. Yes, I keep in mind affordability, but it's terms and being able actually to close the loan to get you into that property. So very important to work with someone, perhaps a referral, somebody that is going to be a great part of your offer team. The other issue making is making big financial purchases before you're in a property, you're in contract, you're in the home stretch, you're gonna you're signed the final documents, and what happens is that big purchases are made. That's where you're saying, hey, honey, let's go out to the car lot. Let's go get into that big car we always wanted. Those payments or changing jobs at the very last minute, all of that really needs to be avoided because that will make your transaction fall apart. So they do pull the credit at the end. They do investigate everything to make sure that everything is status quo and that there's no big financial decisions and purchases that have been made. The other thing is ignoring the resale value of a property. This is a big one. A lot of times, and it kind of goes back to the, falling in love with the property. Life happens. Unfortunately, there's divorces, there's loss of a job, growing family, where maybe that house that you really thought you were going to live in for the next 30 years maybe is not the property that is going to you want to live in for the next year. So again, life happens. So try not to find the quirky property, the weird property on the block where you really like it, but maybe somebody else or a lot of other people aren't going to want it and purchase it. So it may be difficult to sell. So as I always tell my clients, look at the resale value of your investment. Are you making a good investment? Are you going to be able to get the money out? Does it have appreciation factors involved in your purchase? So don't make a mistake by just falling in love with the house by not thinking of life happens. The other thing is overextending your budget. This is really important when you're a home buyer. Again, things happen in life. You really need to have a budget that is not stretched beyond means. And what happens is that there's more purchases that take place, credit card balances go up, expenses happen. So what you fall a victim of being house poor. House poor means nice home, no vacations, no savings, no going out to eat, no making those trips to the beach sometimes on the weekends with the family because you're just living for those mortgage payments and the expenses and maybe HOA fees. So really pad your budget. Have the flexibility of being able to do things because you have to have a life. You can't just be in your nice kitchen every weekend because that will get old. So it's important to really monitor and not make those mistakes when you're going to make a purchase. So work with an expert that's going to guide you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later. And again, make a good purchase, not a mistake. Thank you.